Look how cute she is.
I feel like we should be holding our wine.
Okay, that's cute. Good?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Go ahead.
Hello, 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 and happy final Wednesday of the year, or of the squeeze.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. We are filming.
That's the final Wednesday of the year.
It is the final Wednesday of the year.
The end of season 1.
I know. We are filming a special evening episode of the squeeze with our glass of wine to celebrate a wonderful year. Do you like that?
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay.
Sorry, keep going.
You enjoy your wine while I talk to our friends over here.
Yeah, you did the podcast. I'll just be here.
Okay. No, we felt like it was only right to celebrate the end of the first year, which just has been an unbelievable journey for us. When, many of you know this, but when we started this podcast, we had really, no major goals for it.
Yeah.
Just like we wanted to do it for us, for whoever would care to listen. And we did not think that.
Yeah, we didn't really know what it would entail. We just were like, oh, this is fun. A fun little studio in our house. Let's talk to some people.
10, 15, 20 people listen, great.
Yeah.
But it's just been beyond our wildest dreams. So thank you to each and every one of you for listening week after week. And this is a cheers to you.
How many times will we cheers in this episode? Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Whew. Well, it feels... Well, let me take a sip quick. Gorgeous. It feels only right to start with our final citrus got real of the year. So, with that being said, wife, drum roll, please. All right, here we go. If you could switch places with someone for a day, who would it be?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
So I could see how annoying or nice I am.
Okay. I think you would be pleasantly surprised.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's actually my actual answer.
Yeah, mine is Remy.
Oh, shoot. It said somebody.
It says someone.
Someone.
And Remy is someone. Look at how cute she is.
Okay, maybe I would do that.
I would just like to know what one day
as a dog
in Remy's paws would look like.
No.
Yeah.
Imagine having her cute little paws.
Oh, she's got the cutest little paws.
You guys are like, please stop.
I know. We'll move on.
The dog parents out there understand.
Yeah. If we had to choose anybody else other than the 3 people in this room right now.
Out of curiosity, I would not want it longer than a day. The president? I don't know. What the frick that entails.
Just to know what the ins and outs in a day looks like.
Yeah, see if there's actually a big red button.
I would probably say Kylie Jenner.
Because you want to hang out with Timothy? Or?
No, just so I could fully understand the Timothy situation.
Oh, you don't understand?
Well, isn't their relationship a little bit confusing to some people?
No, they're dating.
Yeah, I know. It's just an interesting relationship, that's all.
Oh.
I'm happy they're happy, but...
that wasn't on your bingo
nobody
card.
saw that coming.
Yeah, no, I did not see that coming.
I get it. It's just an interesting combination.
Yeah.
But good for them.
Yeah.
Also, she's, like a billionaire.
Yeah.
So that could be fun for a day.
She has a cool plane.
She's a cool plane?
Yeah. Kylie Air.
Kylie Air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll go with Kylie.
Kylie Air.
This is sounding better and better.
Hey, I'd have my private plane too if I was the president.
Yes, you would.
Yeah.
Yes, just a small little plane.
Yeah, if we switched on the same day, then we can go meet somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, your plane might be a little bigger than mine. But I
don't know about
own Kylie Cosmetics.
Look at you. And what's her new? Kai? Is that her new clothing line?
I don't know. I don't keep up with this.
I'm asking you.
Huh. All right, moving on. What a fun little game of Citrus Got Real.
Oh, boy. the last one of the year.
What are we doing today, Tay-Tay?
Oh, as I set my wine down, Taylor and I did a workout yesterday. And we apparently haven't worked out like this in quite some time.
Yeah.
AKA we haven't worked out with weights in a very long time.
Yeah.
And we are both very sore.
Yeah.
Like just reaching for that hurt my legs.
Highly recommend to anybody, just don't get out of the groove, because getting back into the groove is awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've at least been doing a lot of cardio and not a ton of like weights and stuff.
Yeah.
And yesterday we did a heavy weight day. Not even, but the first weight day we've done in forever.
It was a little embarrassing.
And today has been quite miserable.
Not the easiest. This episode I'm actually really excited about, because we're going to recap like some of our favorite moments throughout this whole season, and some moments that you guys picked as like your favorite moments.
Yeah,
which is really fun.
A lot of top moments.
Yeah,
incredible conversations throughout the year.
It was really hard to
difficult to choose.
When I was like going back through all the episodes, I was like, oh, this one, oh, this one, oh, this one.
I know.
Like we've had some like really awesome guests on, but I think what's even cooler is like a lot of our guests have like turned into friendships.
A lot.
Which is so fun.
When people ask us like, what is the greatest thing, for you guys about the podcast, we have a lot of answers, but one of them truly is the relationships that we've made from it.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, we've probably gained like 5 to 7 like really good friends.
Yeah.
And then even more than that.
Yeah.
Just,
20
friends.
plus. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even our gala.
Yeah.
We had so many of our past squeeze guests that are also just our friends now come, and that was just so fun.
Yeah.
It just makes me happy.
I feel like everybody we have on is just good people.
Yeah.
Like if we didn't think somebody was a great person and had a great heart, they wouldn't be on the show.
Yeah.
Like we put that first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've been super blessed with just a wonderful group of people this year.
Yeah. No, I'm truly blown away at the people that we've had and the episodes that we've had. And it just makes me even that much more excited to start this season 2, year 2 of the squeeze, and just, it's going to be so fun.
So yes, we chose a few of these. We had fan votes. So we have some of the top moments from the year that we would love to look back on and reminisce with all of you.
Yeah. We're going to start with our very first guest on the show.
Yes.
Miss Hannah Brown. That was literally our first interview that we had ever done.
Yeah.
And I think we were both slightly terrified, but Hannah made it so easy and so comfortable. And we just had so much fun with her. I watched the episode back, and I was like, this feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, watching it back, it doesn't feel like that was our first guest episode.
It was basically a year ago that we
had
filmed
crazy.
it. So it's crazy. But something that I've kept literally from this interview, one of the biggest things that has stood out to me is her little metaphor with the scary closet.
Yes.
I say it a lot. You guys have probably heard me talk about it again. And again and again and again. So here's a little clip from her episode.
Call it like the scary closet, like I felt like my scary closet was like packed to the brim, and I kept like shoving the door to like it would want to pop out. I'm like, nope, shove it. And now I'm just I opened it and it just all started falling out. And we're trying to organize it, in my brain and make it a closet that everything fits. It has its place. It doesn't mean that it, didn't happen. It's just, we can open the closet, see the scariness inside, the parts that are scary, the parts that are good. And I can easily close it back, and it doesn't just like bust open.
Yeah.
That's what we're working on. Yeah.
I know.
Wow.
As long as you have it all labeled.
Yeah.
So when you want to check in on it,
go to that one. We've been there. We'll go to
We're going to address this one today. Nope, we're going to push that one back. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that. That was good. I'm definitely carrying that one with me.
Yeah. All right. This next one was one of my personal favorites.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with sports and athletes in general. They fascinate me. I'm just huge fans of people that dedicate their lives to whatever sport they are insanely passionate about.
Yeah.
But Lindsey Vonn, she was towards the very beginning of our guests as well. And she is the best of the best of the best.
Yes.
At what she does, and of, female athletes of all time, skiers of all time. She is just truly a legend of an athlete and of a person. But one moment that we did love that she spoke about was she used this metaphor of how we don't treat our brains the same way we would an injury. She dealt with a lot of injuries throughout her career, and so she sure knows what it's like to come back from a devastating injury.
Yeah. And
she speaks about why don't we treat our brains and our mental health the same way you would any other injury. So let's look at that, Lindsey.
Oh, I woke up and my tricep hurts. I'm going to take care of that, and no one, I think the perception is, and I think what also you have in your mind, at least what I have in my mind before I talked about it, was that like something's wrong with me. And it was more scary in my mind when I kept it, when I tried to keep it, suppressed. And then as soon as you are open about it and talk about it and admit it, it's like, I'm good. I'm struggling, but I'm fine and I'm here and we're going to fix it. And, I'm going to talk about it. And it's like, I don't know. I think it's just like anything else that you face in your day, and it shouldn't be treated as something, so, taboo. It's just a normal process of life, and it's, you got to take care of each other and take care of yourself. And that's just a part of being, finding out how to be your best self.
Yeah. I'll move on from this right after this, but I am obsessed with that correlation of injury and mental health. Like, I've never thought of that before. If you get injured, whatever, if you don't, you're gonna get better if you treat it. You can't just you can't just go through an
it'll
injury.
Linger. It'll get worse. Yeah,
it's gonna get worse.
It's not gonna take care of itself.
Until you do what you need to do to fix it. And it's the same thing with your mental health. Yeah.
Okay, this next clip is from an interview that we were definitely the most nervous for. Emmanuel Acho. I feel like we were the most nervous.
We love him. It has nothing to do with him. He's just so wise. It's like,
I mean, when you're interviewing someone like that has so much wisdom and so much weight like in their words. Yeah. We were like, we want to ask the right questions. We want to make sure we're like sound professional, because at the time, I mean, that was still early on, and we were like, I don't really even know what I'm doing still, but we freaking have Emmanuel Acho sitting across from us, one of like the greatest to do it.
Having this conversation.
Oh my gosh, no! When he agreed to like come on, and we were just so thankful,
but terrified.
Yes, but terrified. If you guys haven't watched that episode, you need to go back and watch it, because so many of you said that episode was your favorite. And trying to like pick a moment from it was very hard, because the guy is just the freaking spewing facts left and right. But we definitely talked about, I think one of the most vulnerable he like almost started crying with us. We were talking about suicide and like the advice he would say to someone listening who like may have just lost a loved one, and just kind of what encouragement he would give towards that. And it was some of the greatest advice and just truly like raw, vulnerable wisdom. I feel like that came out of him. So
yeah, let's hear it.
You're asking me like why I do this, and a big reason why I started this was because I lost a friend to suicide, and I know that you have lost some people in your life to suicide as well. And I wanted to know what is something that you've learned from that, and if there's any advice that you can share from what you've learned going through that with our listeners.
That's a heavy question. That's a good question. Jeez. What did I, man, I've learned a lot. Buckle up, listeners, because I may word vomit. I would say maybe the imminent thought in my head right now is you don't know when your last moment will be with someone. So try to make sure that last moment is as valuable, as impactful, as loving, as joyful, as peaceful as possible, regardless of when it is. I would say tell the people that you love them. I grew up in a Nigerian household, and my parents, I knew they loved me because of what they did, but you don't overly verbalize, I love you.
Yeah.
I don't leave my mom and dad's presence now without like saying, I love you. I overuse, I love you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't overuse it in the sense of not meaning it, but somebody that I love, I will make sure they know it. You can still be a person of faith and struggle with mental health. I think I've learned that. I've also learned more people are struggling than you realize.
Yeah.
I loved one of my favorite artists, Kirk Franklin, he said, bother people today. Check in on them so much that you bother them.
Yeah.
Wow. He said that, and that really stuck with me. I've also learned the people that seem the happiest might be struggling the most. So check in on your happy friends.
Yeah.
Check in on your perfect friends. Check in on your got it all together friends. I've also learned grief, it follows no natural trajectory.
Yeah.
There is no order for grief, and you don't know when grief will strike. I've also learned that your tragic and tragedy story, it's a part of the fiber of your new being. So just embrace it. You will not be the same person after you experience that loss, and you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I've also learned that time doesn't make you forget. It makes it easier to remember.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm learning every day. And I'm not going to cry on this podcast. That's what I'm not going to do. But I've learned a lot. And life is hard. Life is very, very, very hard. And find people you can do life with who help make the difficult easier because it's difficult.
Okie dokes. This next one, we were also very excited and honored to have.
Yes.
Miss Emma Myers, who is just doing absolutely wonderful right now with her career.
Crushing it.
What was the Christmas movie that we just
Family
watched?
Switch?
Family Switch?
Family Switch? What was it called? Switch something.
I think it is Family Switch.
Yeah, Family Switch.
Great movie. But she is so talented, so young. Just her future is bright as can be.
Yeah.
Also, just a very smart girl.
So sweet.
The sweetest little angel ever.
Yeah.
We're thankful to call her a friend. But she talked about a lot of things, but one of the things she spoke about that we talk a lot about on this podcast is boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries are sometimes not the easiest thing to set, but I feel like especially as you go on in life, you learn how important they are.
Yeah.
So let's listen to what Miss Emma Myers has to say about boundaries.
I guess before it aired or around the time of the show airing, you had like 1 million followers, and now you're at like almost 12 million followers.
Before the show came out, before even the trailer, the first teaser came out, I probably had like 900 followers.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
This proves my point even more. From 900 to almost 12 million followers.
Crazy.
What has that like adjustment been for you? Because obviously like this whole new level of fame and attention, it was probably just like freaking thrown at you. What has that been like?
It was hard getting used to at first. Now I'm a bit more used to it because I've found ways to kind of like deal with it and make it not so intense. But at first, and like I still had my Instagram notifications on.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And my DMs were open and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So all at once, like after it dropped the first day, I had like an influx of people coming to my social media and messaging and liking and commenting and all that sort of stuff. And it got really overwhelming and I thought I'd be able to handle it, but I couldn't. So I've like turned off my tagged photos. My DMs are all restricted and stuff like that, just because it makes it easier for me to handle it.
Yeah.
What's weird is that when I was younger, I was a big fan of things. Loved looking at people's tagged photos, loved, liking and commenting and all that. But now that it's happening to me, I can understand why people are weirded out by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot, but it's better now.
Are there any other boundaries besides like social media that you've kind of like had to put in place to be like, okay, I need to not really look at this, or I should stay away from that? What else is there?
My sisters find it funny to look at my name on Twitter and stuff, and I've recently just had to tell them, please just don't. They send me stuff, and it's all fun and games and all that. We have giggles, but it just gets overwhelming sometimes, and I don't. Even if it's like nothing harmless, it's just pictures of me, on set or, recent styling photos of me. It's a lot to have so many people talking about you and you not like even knowing that they're talking about you.
Yeah.
Because I don't have Twitter. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
So knowing that there's whole other social media platforms that people can say whatever they want and I can't even see it is a little bit crazy.
Okay, the next clip we're going to share with you guys is from our interview with Zac Clark. He was on my list of people I wanted to have on this podcast just because his story is so inspiring and encouraging. Obviously, we learned who he was from the Bachelor franchise and got to kind of see a glimpse of, who he was and what he's gone through in his life. But, post-show and us being in the mental health space, what he's doing with Release Recovery, his company, his nonprofit, he is just changing lives and helping people with addiction. And we really got into the nitty gritty with him because I have family members that have struggled with addiction, and we really just had a very honest conversation about it. And he's so relatable.
He's somebody I want to have back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people we want to have back, but Zac, we would love to have back and just dive deeper into some of the things. Yeah,
he is just a joy of a human. But we got to talk about men's mental health with him, which was super fun that him and Taylor got to talk about it and relate to it. But he just had some great wisdom there to share. So here's this clip. Men's mental health is very important to me. My cousin, I've had other male family members struggle with addiction. I lost a friend to suicide who was also a male.
I'm a male.
You are also a male. Mental health is, I almost feel like more so impacted men in my life more than women, which I feel like a lot of people.
I mean, according to statistics, that would make sense, right? Or isn't like we've looked up the statistics, isn't the percentage of
more men die of suicide than women.
Suicide, everything. I mean, it's off the charts.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think that because women are just the ones talking about mental health, which we're changing today. But I know you have a similar view of that. What advice or what has helped you kind of just be more comfortable with being vulnerable or being open?
So one of the things that I learned in my recovery journey is I can't afford to be anything other than honest. And there's only one story for me, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I really choose to lean into it and be honest and open about that, everything tends to work out.
Yeah.
As a man, growing up with a dad who was throw strikes, son, work harder, give me 20 push-ups, I was taught to just suck it up.
Yep.
I was taught to, and a lot of that probably drives some of my success today. And I'm grateful for some of that. But on the flip side of that, I also, acknowledge that if I am not being vulnerable and letting people know where I'm at and doing that with other men, then I'm not going to feel great.
Yeah.
And the response that I've gotten and the connections that I've made by being open and being vulnerable tell me all I need to know, that people are struggling, that they are looking for connection, that they don't know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
And so if we can destigmatize, what it means to be a man when it comes to mental health, we're going to be doing ourselves all a favor.
Okie dokes, this next one we love. She has become a friend of ours. She is the TikTok and online sensation Anna Sitar. She just a joy of a human.
When I still feel this to this day. When she left, I literally looked at Taylor and I was like, that's the kind of people that I want to surround myself with. She is just on fire about what she's doing and just genuinely loves doing TikToks, doing social media, creating content, all of these things. When we made our TikTok with her, she was just
oof.
And she was in her
Spielberg
in her freaking lane.
Yeah.
And she just loves what she does. And she just has that. She just has, the happy energy about her. Those people that just have that. No,
she's a light.
Energy.
She walks into a room. She walks in anywhere, and she makes everyone around her smile and laugh. And that is the kind of people you want to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
But she also had many words of wisdom.
Yeah.
And she speaks on negativity, surrounding you and not letting that, tear you down and hold you back. And also a little piece of advice from her mother, which has to do with that.
Yeah.
And I think we all could use a little bit of this advice.
Yes.
So let's take a listen.
Viewing negative content or blocking out haters in the comments, how do you block that out? And I guess what advice would you have in doing that?
I feel like it's some of the best advice that I learned, which I feel like I have to debrief what this advice sounds like because it sounds aggressive, but my mom used to tell it to me and it has stuck with me. And my mom, if anybody knows Madka, we love her dearly. English is not her first language though. So it's an interesting translation, but she always used to tell me when I would get really down about there's going to be trolls on the internet. There's going to be people who are trying to bring down the energy or even it's so frustrating to me because I feel like sometimes things are so taken out of context or so twisted to seem unintentional when I have always just wanted my page to be such a light on the internet. And so my mom used to always tell me though, when I'll get a little bit bummed out and be like, what am I going to do? This person said this or somebody thinks this about me. My mom would always tell me, don't you spend your time trying to drown others when you could just swim faster. And listen, we're not drowning anybody. Okay, we're starting there. But what I think her intention with that is don't use your energy to be looking in your rearview mirror. Other people are going to be trying to bring down your light and bring down your energy. And instead of focusing on that negativity or going back and, fighting with keyboard warriors or getting frustrated about those little things, you have so much ocean ahead of you. You have so much potential ahead of you. You have so much farther you can go by just focusing your energy on the positive and everything. And I feel like that's what I hope is the lesson people learn from even any of my content is there's good and there's opportunity in everything, even in negativity. Someone who's leaving you a not nice comment is really just not feeling good that day.
Yeah.
Even if that's not true, I'm believing that. I'm believing they're having a bad day and they didn't mean it.
Yeah.
And it's not about looking at those comments and oh my gosh, I'm so guilty of letting it get to me and letting it affect the way that I even see my own content. Or it's so funny. You can ask, I think, any creator on TikTok, what are the negative comments going to be on this video before you post it? And I can name them before I post a video, even if the video has nothing to do with anything except for how I did my makeup.
Yeah.
I already know what everyone's going to, what people would say, even if the video is an upbeat, happy, get ready song. And I think most creators know, but it's the fact of you just have to accept that you are putting into the world what you love and the energy you put out is the energy you're going to get back.
Yeah.
Even if it has to kind of school wiggle through some of those more negative sides, but you're better off to just continually make what you love and just manifest the happiness for everybody around you as well.
That's a great advice.
Yeah.
I know. It comes off a little spicy. So I'm always listen, We're going to debrief this. We're not drowning anyone. She meant like, don't fight people when you could just walk away.
Exactly.
Kinda,
Yeah. I love that.
Okay, this next clip is probably one of the top 5, maybe 3, maybe 2 moments of like shock factor I've had on this show.
Yeah, like learning facts that you're like, what?
My mind was blown. Our interview with Dr. Sasha, she is an ADHD specialist. She
who also has ADHD herself.
Yes. If you guys haven't watched that interview,
another great one.
Go watch it. She's also someone who has become a dear friend to us. She's just lovely, lovely, lovely.
So funny.
I talk to her quite often. She's hysterical, but also just so kind. But the statistics that she was sharing, I literally was like flabbergasted, jaw to the floor, about, comparing ADHD in females to males and like how it presents in females. I actually had no clue. I mean, she's the whole reason I went and like got checked.
Yeah.
So yeah,
she's helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
And hopefully this clip helps you.
Do you think there is people that maybe get diagnosed with like depression or anxiety, but not ADHD because of like how it's presenting?
Yes, especially women. Especially women. So women present as like the inattentive type primarily. So difficulty focusing, foggy, difficulty remembering details, difficulty with initiating tasks. So a lot of times it's like, oh, they're depressed. They, they don't have a whole lot of motivation. You want to sleep all the time, or you don't sleep enough, and so what happens is that for females, they're experiencing these ADHD symptoms. They flow by in school and they're cool. They're getting passed along grade by grade because they're not bothering anybody except themselves.
Yeah.
They get passed along. Puberty happens. Their ADHD symptoms gets worse because there's a drop in estrogen. So there's a drop in dopamine, and physiologically their ADHD symptoms are worsening. At that point, what happens? Everybody's like, they're hormonal. They're bitchy. It's a mood problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not a mood problem. It's a worsening of ADHD. So then they kind of go along and either they start birth control or they start like an antidepressant, or they start something like that. And then they get into further in their lives, and then they're starting their own families, or they're doing things like that. And the stakes are just higher.
Yeah.
And so it becomes, now they've already kind of operated at such a deficit. Now you add these extra stressors on, and it's just like this, okay, where do we go from here? Yeah. So for females, you're getting diagnosed, your average age of getting diagnosed are mid-30s. And for males, it's 7 or 8.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's an age gap.
Yeah. It's horrendous. And it's because of a lot of reasons, but I think that there's a lot of providers themselves don't know a whole lot about ADHD and but we're just not, even in psychiatry residency, you're not taught that unless you're like, I have ADHD. I have to seek out this information. Otherwise I will die. This is like, I need to know. It's just not very commonly talked about. So then you have this whole like generations of doctors that are skipping symptoms because they don't know.
Yeah.
You're not hyper. You're not disrupting the class. And so people are getting like kind of ignored generationally until they have a son and they have their son, and their son is exhibiting symptoms, and they're like, oh, I have that. And then
right. Jeez Louise.
I love moments like that where my brain is just like, whoa. Like I just heard like the most profound thing ever, which is very true.
All right. This next one is definitely one of our favorites. When we did start this podcast, we only dreamt of having people like Kevin Hines on this show, and the tough conversations that I didn't even know how we were going to have them. Like, I haven't had many of those conversations with people in my life. So to do those conversations for the first time in front of a camera, it was scary. But Kevin has also become a dear friend, was our key speaker at our first Lemons Gala, has an unbelievable story. If you don't know it, highly recommend watching that episode and looking up his story. But we did ask him if he had any piece of advice on how to speak to somebody or questions to ask somebody if you think they're feeling suicidal.
Yeah, because that, you never know, like, it's such an awkward thing to ask someone.
Yeah.
Because I even felt that, like, working in the hospital, if there was, like, a patient that may be like a suicide risk, you had to do this whole, like, crisis eval on them. And you literally, like, had to ask them, like,
it's a tough question,
if they had plans. And it's just, like, kind of weird. And he breaks it down to where it feels natural. And it's like, it provides a safe space for, the loved one, the person that you're concerned about.
Yeah. So let's hear what Mr. Kevin Hines has to say.
I'll say this first. The conversation needs to be had at the breakfast, lunch, and dinner table of every home on a regular basis. More teens and children are dying by suicide than ever before in the history of this world. More 7 to 10-year-old children are dying by suicide than ever before in the history of this world. More 5 to 10-year-old Black children are dying by suicide than ever before in the history of this world. And so we have to look at our children who are being destroyed by pain, and we have to say it in a calm way, hey, and if you're in the hospital, it's like this, like, hey, I don't want to offend you, but I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
I'm worried about some of the things you've been exhibiting, and I want to ask you a couple of questions. But before I ask you those questions, I want you to be 100% honest with your response. You're not in any trouble. These are important questions. They matter, and you matter. Okay, here we go. Are you thinking of killing yourself? Have you ever made plans to take your life? Do you right now have the means to do so? Wait for the response. If the response is no, why would you ask me that? Great. There you go. Great answer. They're safe. You're not going to put the thought in their mind. But if the answer is like, how did you know? Okay, well, elaborate. What do I know? Well, I was thinking about taking my life, and I did have a plan, and I do have the means. Okay. What is bringing you to that conclusion? Why do you think you have to take your life?
Yeah.
Extend the conversation. Don't shut it off. Don't make them feel judged. Don't tell them they're wrong. Millions of people around the world have suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Millions upon millions.
Yeah.
They're not bad people.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with them.
Don't make them feel stupid.
It is
for feeling
normal.
that way.
Normalize the conversation. Yeah, exactly, Taylor. Normalize the conversation.
Yeah.
Courage, normalize, question, recovery, conquer. Courage to talk about your mental health. Normalize the conversation. Ask those 3 questions. Are you thinking of killing yourself? Have you made plans to take your life? Do you have the means? Recovery is living proof.
Yeah.
I'm living proof.
Yeah.
Okay, this next clip is from our interview with Libby and Victor Boyce, the parents of Cameron Boyce. They lost their son how long ago?
2019.
Okay. What year are we in? Yeah, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And, it was definitely an emotional conversation that we had with them. I've never really spoken. I mean, I've lost my friend and I've talked to like their parents before, but talking to parents like that was definitely hard.
Yeah. To say the least.
And tough. But we kind of asked them, like, what is the quote unquote correct thing to say to someone, tell someone who has just lost a loved one? Because it's kind of, you never know, like, what to say. Like, sorry doesn't feel like enough. But we just asked them, like, straight up, what did you like to hear? What was not helpful for you guys to hear?
Yeah.
And of course, everyone is different, but to get their perspective on it was really awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
What is the correct thing to say to someone that like shows empathy and that you care for them, but isn't, triggering or bringing up stuff?
I think it depends on who it is.
Okay.
Like, how close are you to them?
Yeah.
Because strangers say things to me sometimes, and like I said, I know their intentions are good, but they say awkward things. So for me, I have to learn to just like Yeah. Just take it in stride. They don't mean anything bad or anything, and just be nice and just reflect niceness back to them. Yeah. Because there is no one thing. It depends on your relationship. For me, I'm not speaking for her, but for me, it depends on who's saying it. I had a situation where someone who should have known better that we know very tightly said something super awkward, like early on, and I just was like livid. Yeah. Like, what did you just say to me? Yeah. And then I let that person know how I felt about that and why. And the very next day, they did it again, and I just couldn't. But it was only because that's what that person would normally say. It was like a daily thing. It was a mindless thing. It wasn't like they were giving it thought what they were saying. It was like one of those things that they just say. Yeah. And so I took a learning lesson from that to not get upset, because, like, again, I know that it wasn't malicious or flippant at all. It was just they're at a loss as to what to say, and they just said something that rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah. So I think for me, I just had to learn to not get offended or upset no matter what anybody says. So because there's really no right thing to say. Yeah. There's really no right thing to say. There's wrong things to say, but again, as long as it's not malicious, I'm not going to get upset about it.
I actually would love to, if I had time, to write a book about this.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of what Vic said, but it's really just about actions more than anything. Yep. Like, there's nothing you can say. What can you say? Right. I mean, probably the most sane thing I heard was no words. Yeah. Or people just hugged me. Like, that's, and I took major lessons from that. A very good friend of mine, she's a physician, and she just helped her dad pass he had a terminal illness. And, I just went into her home Friday, and she fell into me and we just hugged. Mm-hmm. That's all that you need to do. Mm-hmm. And it's still awkward. It's still awkward. I still feel like somebody had a loss. I'm not sure what to say. It was worse before my loss. Like, it was really uncomfortable. So I know how people feel. Mm-hmm. I know it's just not a thing that we're comfortable with at all. And nor should we be in a lot of ways, so it's really hard to know. You have to think about what you're saying and figure out what's the best way to support this individual. Yeah. We had a food train. We had people in our house nonstop for 2 weeks. We needed that. Yeah. Being there, distracting. Like, my best friend who lost her husband a few years before Cameron died just took my hand and said, we're going to get through this together. And even though, yes, mine was a child, hers was her husband, it's different, but that just really helped me. Yeah. And for sure, we're closer now, and we are getting through it together. And we do get together very often. She lives up north, but we get together often, and we're there for each other, and we could just talk about it. Mm-hmm. And my best friends, they're just, the thing about it, I think the biggest message is don't stop talking about that person. Mm-hmm. Don't avoid talking about Cameron with us. Okay. That's the worst thing you could do, because we like to hear his name. We he's gone physically. And how painful is that as a parent that your child would be forgotten? Yeah. So and I hear this from a lot of parents in my support group. It's that dismissiveness of not talking about that person, not acknowledging that they're not there. It's kind of like a slap both ways,
Yeah.
So
that's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. I think some of you may have heard of this person, this guest. Her name is Charli D'Amelio. She, if you don't know, she is the biggest TikToker in the world.
Yep.
She has over 150 million TikTok followers alone.
Yeah.
But we were so blown away with Charli. We didn't know too much about her when she showed up to our house, other than she has 150 million TikTok followers.
Yeah.
She's good at dancing. She's funny. That's about it. But we were so blown away because some of the stuff, one, just the way she carries herself. Yeah. She's wise beyond her years.
Very.
And if you watch her episode, I think you'll understand what we're saying. She's very young. She's very young.
19.
19.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But she also had so much wisdom. She deals with severe anxiety on a daily basis. And she really opened up and talked to us about her journey with anxiety. And she speaks about the tools that she's had to implement into her life to deal with her anxiety. And I thought it was very helpful.
If I knew the things that she knows at 19, I would have, I would have, saved a lot of hurt.
I know.
Hurt and a lot of stress.
Well, we love you, Charli.
Yes.
So let's take a look and see what she had to say.
Like, what tools have you put in place because you've been, dealing with anxiety for so long? Are there like tools like therapy or different like self-care things that you've put in place and you're like, I need this, like this helps me so much?
Yeah, I'm in therapy for sure. That's something that I think is so important, good times and bad times in your life.
Yeah.
I think it's important
That's
to
the
not
hard
just
part.
do it when you're hitting rock bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things like just trying to, one of my big things, which is funny because we were just talking about like traveling, that really, really sets me off. And that's big OCD mixed with anxiety because I hate leaving my space, my stuff, my dogs, my bed. Like I can't, it really, really bothers me and stresses me out. So every single time before a trip without fail, and I've been like this for years, even when we would go from Connecticut to Louisiana to go see my family, crying every single time before I left because I didn't want to leave my stuff. So now I'm like, that's my new thing that I'm trying to get better at. But I mean, I've tried all of the different like breathing exercises, different things to do with your eyes to calm you down and regulate your nervous system. It's like little random things like looking side to side like that, confusing your brain. Actually treating my ADHD helped my anxiety a lot, which is very random and weird, but anxiety and OCD together is like the worst headache. It's because you're focusing on a million things, but no, I need to focus on this one thing, but I can't. And it's like back and forth. Yeah. So that really helped my anxiety a lot, which is random. And I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD and OCD until like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
So it was pretty new, and learning about what is going on in my brain and what is ADHD, what is OCD, because it's so different on everyone. Like my boyfriend has OCD really bad, but he has it like when you think of OCD and you think like step twice, numbers this, have to say this many times. Like he has that.
Okay.
Mine is very internal.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a lot easier to figure it out once you kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is helpful. But like, I've tried everything, trichotillomania is like a form of self-harm, and I've struggled with that for a while, and like it's manifested itself in different ways. So it's, when I don't get angry, but when I get to a point where I start to feel more anger or more mad, it's like throw ice at a wall, like random, but it helps. Gotta get your mind on something else. Just like little things like that.
Yeah.
My boyfriend all the time, he's like let's just get over it right now. And we just, for the first time ever, he said something, he made plans to go do something and I made plans to go do something, but he wanted me to go with him. And I was like, well, I didn't know it was an actual plan, so I made other plans. And we just, then and there, he didn't let me leave. He was like, stop saying I don't know. Like you need to tell me what's going on so I can understand it.
Yeah.
And then we had the conversation and I was able to figure out what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And then we solved it. And it was like, oh my gosh, wait, that was so easy. What have I been doing this whole time? So that's a big thing in therapy. Like stop saying I don't know. Yeah. Tell people how you're feeling, because it makes everything so much easier. But it's so hard when I'm like, but I genuinely do not know how I'm feeling right now. So I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this last clip is from our interview with our dear friend, Dr. Daniel Amen. We've known him since even before this podcast, but he's doing the Lord's work, man. He is freaking just crushing it in what he's doing and providing so much help and insight and I didn't even know if I could find the right words for what he's doing.
Doc Amen is a legend, but he's really a trailblazer in the world of what he does. He has been doing it for
long time,
like 40 years or something.
Long time.
And he just helps so many people. He truly, truly is the definition of changing lives.
Changing lives, change your brain.
Yeah. So we were so thankful to have him. So thankful to have him in our lives. But man, I don't even know where to
on
start.
A personal level in our lives, but also coming on and, sharing his wisdom.
We will definitely be having him on again.
Yeah.
So
we love him dearly. But he shares a lot of wisdom, a lot of stuff that he's learned. But something I think is great that he shared is in his new book, he talks about just daily practices to help change our brain and help improve our brain that aren't hard, so to speak. Very simple steps that you can implement into your everyday life to help better your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a listen.
Let's hear it, Doc.
Start every day with today is going to be a great day.
Yes.
Because you direct your mind to what's right rather than what's wrong. Evolutionarily, we grew up to be negative because that protected us. If we woke up afraid, then we're less likely to be eaten by whatever animal that was going to eat us. But we don't need to do that anymore. But we need to train our minds to look for what's right rather than what's wrong. I think every day people should take a multiple vitamin, a high quality omega-3 fatty acid supplement, and vitamin D. Brand new study came out last week that said people who take a vitamin D supplement have a 40% less risk of getting Alzheimer's disease. Well, they're dirt cheap, and how simple is that? So I think nourish your brain. And whenever you feel sad, mad, nervous, or out of control, write down what you're thinking. It's so helpful because when you write down, I call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. When you write them down, you get them out of your head and then ask yourself if it's true. And then what I really love, which is so stinking simple, is write down the bad thought. Tana never listens to me. I've had that thought. And then write the opposite of the thought. Tana does listen to me. And then just meditate on what's true. Because I'm not a big fan of positive thinking. I'm a huge fan of accurate thinking. There's a verse in the New Testament, John 8:32, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I always want to tell myself the truth with a positive spin. And the last thing I do before I go to bed at night, and I've done this for a decade, is I say a prayer, and then I go, what went well today? And I start at the beginning of the day, right when I wake up, and I just go hour by hour looking for what I loved about the day. Because what that does is it sets your dreams up to be more positive. And if you do that for just 3 weeks, your baseline level of happiness will go up. And that's free.
Really?
Right? I mean, so much of what we talked about, it's not expensive. Sick is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like whether we are trying to do it or not, I think a lot of it is just subconsciously. I think a lot of us do the exact opposite of what you just said. I think we go to bed at night thinking about how stressed we are over, the bad things that happened earlier today and what we're going to have to deal with tomorrow when we wake up. Yeah. So I think, and I'm speaking for myself here, when I go to bed, I need to think more about what I was thankful for today and less, about what was stressful in what I have coming my way tomorrow.
And it's a discipline. It's a practice, which is why Change Your Brain Every Day. It's a daily practice. And when you first started acting, you probably weren't awesome. You probably had to do it again and again and again. And over time, it became an unconscious skill where you were just great at it. And mental health, brain health, it's the same thing. Initially, it's hard because you don't have the connections, the neuronal connections to make it easy. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it then changes your baseline level of happiness.
What amazing moments from some incredible guests over the last year, but not even. Yeah. It's crazy to think that we started this in February. It is the very end of 2023. We have had an unbelievable first year thanks to all of you. And we really we feel like we got to keep this going.
Yeah.
And step it up a notch.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that we're ending season 1 and starting season 2 is kind of crazy to me. I couldn't even see a finish line of season 1, starting this. I'm thinking that we're already there. It is just flown by and been just so fun.
I'm so pumped. We have a great lineup already of guests and conversations to be had. We're going to bring favorites back, plenty of new people, exciting solo conversations.
Yeah.
And I just really can't wait to share this next season with each and every one of you.
Yeah. And shout out to my husband for coming along with me on this wild ride.
Thanks for having me, baby cakes.
It's very fun getting to work. Not really work, but work with you.
So difficult.
It's so difficult. So hard working with you.
Well, let's do one more cheers here before we sign off. Cheers to an incredible first season of The Squeeze.
Why am I getting emotional?
And to hopefully many, many more. We love you all. I love you, baby.
I love you.
I love you, Remy.
I love you, Rem.
And cheers, baby.
Wait, I'm getting emotional. What the frick?
I'm proud of you.
Oh, honey. I'm proud of you. Thank you.
You got a whole lot more than me left. We're going to finish that sucker. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, wow.
I told you I was going to finish it.
Oh, wow. He's not playing games.
Go. Chug, 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 chug.
It needs to be a little colder for me to chug it.
I know. It is. If I'm being completely honest with you, the white wine has been a little bit warm, and we like it chilled.
This podcast has been brought to you by Podcast Nation.